A warm welcome to the History Show on Uxbridge FM, and we're very pleased to welcome back Ken Pearce, local historian, with some more stories. Hello, Ken.
Good morning. Hello. Well, I want to start today talking about cattle plague. The present pandemic of COVID-19 these last few months has reminded us that there have been other serious outbreaks of disease in the past. In the 14th century, of course, the Black Death swept across Europe and Asia, killing an estimated 25 million people. In 1918, an outbreak of what was called Spanish flu spread across many countries, affecting 500 million people. And there have been serious bouts of cattle disease too, notably, of course, in this country, foot and mouth disease. Among my collection of local material, I have a pamphlet entitled The Cattle Plague. It's actually a sermon preached in St. Margaret's Church here in Uxbridge on the 20th of March 1866 by the vicar, the Reverend Charles Price. Sermons, of course, were not usually published, but those that made a big impact sometimes were. Some years ago, I wrote an article about this in our Gazette newspaper and received 2 letters as a result. And both writers thought that the disease at the time was called rinderpest, common and deadly. The attack lasted about 18 months before it was gone. But back in those days, 1866, more than 400,000 cattle in this country had to be put down. In those days, of course, cattle were often walked long distances to markets, supervised by drovers, and this widespread movement of animals doubtless aided the spread of the disease. And at that time, Uxbridge was still a market town at the centre of a district dotted with farms. So, of course, the impact on our area was severe. To combat the outbreak, the government established a cattle plague department, which sent inspectors across the country to make sure that all infected cattle were destroyed. This department eventually became the Board of Agriculture. But the vicar of Uxbridge, preaching at the beginning of the outbreak, said this: "It is a mysterious disease. Science has not been able to determine its character. We know not whence it came, nor how it has been propagated. We despair of having to cure it. And so, a last sad resource, we have been driven to destroying all the cattle attacked by it." The Reverend Price then went on to say, "In my opinion, the disease has been sent upon the nation by God to rebuke and chasten the population. We are being punished and disciplined for our sinful ways, so repentance and reform are called for." That message clearly went home, and so to gain a wider audience, the sermon was published in printed form. I have not heard anyone expressing similar views like that in recent weeks. I'm no theologian, so I don't propose to comment on the vicar's views. My listeners may make up their own minds, but I'm going to stick to history. Charles Price was vicar of St. Margaret's for a remarkable 45 years and died in 1872. The stained glass window erected in his memory can still be seen in the church.
Wow, thanks, Ken. That's a lot of cattle. 400,000.
Yes.
Oh, another great story. We'll back with more in a moment.